coach this morning, the head coach of the Kennesaw State Owls, Coach Brian Bohannon. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Mark.
First off, congratulations to you and the program on the resounding program opening victory against East Tennessee State, 56-16, and moved to 1-0. You got the anticipated home opener Saturday against Edward Waters. If you can open up, talk about the victory against ETSU, just how everything, from that point on, that moment, just describe for us, and then we'll start talking about Saturday's opponent and taking questions.
Well, obviously, I'm extremely proud of our kids and our program. I mean, I don't know that we could have scripted a better way to start, Kennesaw State football than what happened Thursday night on the road. And I think the big concerns you worry about going into a first game like that is how your kids are going to handle adversity, how they're going to handle the circumstances. And I was really proud of our kids. We got in some binds early on. I mean, they took the ball, and for a majority of the first quarter, they drove down the field. Then we had some self-inflicted wounds, a turnover, and got behind. And our kids never wavered. They had a ton of confidence about them, and we battled back. And the end of the first half and beginning of the second half, felt like we got control of the game. So I was very pleased by the way we handled some adversity, and the way we kind of went about our business for a young football team. I was concerned going in that, we would be all over the place and not know what we're doing. Obviously, we made a ton of mistakes and a ton of things we got to improve on, but it wasn't because of the circumstances that we did that. It was just making mistakes. So extremely proud. I mean, it's, after the game, and you could just see it on our kids' faces, over a year's worth of work, 78 practices, not including conditioning, not including strength, the off-season summer program, but 78 actual practices, and finally the culmination of playing a football game and having a great outcome.
We're definitely excited for you, Coach. At this time, we'll start taking questions for you. For those on the call, please press *1 on your phone at any time, or click the Q&A link near the top of your browser and click Raise Hand. And while we're waiting for questions, Coach, talk about your opponent this week. You mentioned you had 78 practices. Now you've got game weeks, and just kind of talk about Edward Waters and what happens now with the team prep.
Well, we actually in a game week, which is a first for us, like a lot of things. So our kids are getting accustomed to what a game week's actually like. And the big thing for us is a couple things. One, I told our guys, good football teams make a lot of improvement from game 1 to game 2, and I think that's a big challenge for us. There's a lot of things we got to get better at. And then the second thing, we get to come home for the first time. We're going to play in front of a sold-out crowd for the first time in the history of the school, and we want to go out and put our best foot forward against a football team that's coming in out of Jacksonville that would love nothing better than to come in with a game that's on TV and in front of a great atmosphere and great environment, and come in and put their best foot forward and get a W. So it's going to be a challenge for us, but our kids are excited. We're excited about playing at home, and the atmosphere is going to be unbelievable at Fifth Third Bank Stadium.
All right, Coach, we're going to move the questions for you now. And first question for you is from Damian Sordelette of the Lynchburg News in Advance. Go ahead, Damian.
Brian, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Damian.
I was going to ask the atmosphere after the game in the locker room. What would you liken that to? You said 78 practices, finally seeing the culmination of playing a football game and having a great outcome. What was that atmosphere like in the locker room after the game when you guys could soak in the experience of finally getting on the field and playing, and then seeing the outcome of making your adjustments in game and having the positive outcome that you had to open a football program?
Well, there was a couple things that happened that were really positive, and I think the big thing is obviously everybody that had been practicing and that was on the travel squad got to play, and that's a big deal. And as the game wore on, we knew we had it in hand. You could see the faces of our kids. And I mean, they've been going to this thing for a long time, and it was just, they were so excited about the game, winning the game, being in the situation they were in. As soon as the game was over, we shook hands. Our kids went over to the fans that were there. They sang the fight song in front of our fans. They're high-fiving the fans. And then we went up in the locker room, and, it was just one of those environments. I usually not a loss for words, but, man, I just told them how proud I was of them. and they were pretty excited. And heck, we sang the fight song again. It was round 2, and but the big thing, they asked me afterwards, just to see our kids and all the hard work they put in, and to be able to go up and hug their neck, and you can just see, the excitement and feel like they've achieved something by all the hard work, that you can have positive feedback off of it. We've worked extremely hard here, and it's been a tough road, and to have some immediate positive feedback, you could just see it on their faces, and our staff as well, everybody involved, and it was a great night.
And what does that do when you're starting a program from scratch, and to have that sort of positive feedback early, so that way you can build on that going into week 2, the week between week 1 and week 2, where you see the most growth during the season? What do you do to build off that and have these kids not rest on, we have a win under our belts, we got the win in the first game? How do you get these kids' attention turned toward building on to the next one?
Well, it was we got their attention yesterday, I can promise you. We made a ton of mistakes. We didn't play the kind of football we want to play here. I'm talking about the standard we want to be at. And we showed them that on tape, the numbers. We had a ton of efforts, a ton of missed assignments. There was things they could see that were very tangible. And as I talked with them yesterday, I said, that game's over. I said, whether we win, lose, or draw, all right, we flush it, we move on, and we get ready for the next one. We had several days to enjoy it. It was a Thursday night game. It was the first game we'd won in the history of the school, so we had plenty of time to enjoy it, and we needed to. But at the end of the day, that one's over. We got to move on to the next one. And the great thing about winning is you can go back and really challenge your kids on the things they didn't do well when you win. It's a little harder when you lose. But because we won, they're saying, all right, all the things we did are paying off. Let's listen. Let's be what they're saying. Let's do what the coaches are saying, because it's been reinforced that it works. And so we got a big emphasis on that yesterday, and even bigger today as we go to practice in full pads. And we're going to turn it up a notch in practice and make sure that we're getting better and continue to lay the foundation. So it's much easier to do that off a win than it is off a loss.
Brian, I appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Damien.
Thanks, Damien. And Coach, last question for you actually is for me. Just with the sold-out crowd on Saturday, what will they see from pregame? Have you been able to practice the home game routine of coming out in the field and all the pageantry around that?
Yeah, we've done about everything we can do, Mark. We've done it several times. Matter of fact, obviously with the young football team, we try to eliminate what I call circumstances as much as we can, that everything else is going on. So we've actually gone through a full pregame warm-up. We've come out of the tunnel just like we're going to come out on Saturday. So we've done as much as we can possibly do. Now, we've never had a dry run with 10,000 people there either. So we can't simulate that. But that's the great part about the day is all the people there and the enthusiasm. We got a marching band for the first time. I don't know, they're 200 plus strong. So there's going to be a lot of neat things about Saturday. But at the end of the day, when it's time to go, we got to line up. And the big thing for us is we got to make a ton of improvement from game 1 to game 2. And that's the big challenge for our guys this week.
All right. Well, Coach, that's all the questions we have for you. I appreciate you joining us, and good luck Saturday in the home opener.
Thanks, guys.
All right. And that will conclude our call for this week. My thanks to all the coaches and media joining us. Playback of this call will be available for listening later this afternoon on BigSouthSports.com. Everyone have a great week, and we'll talk to everyone next Tuesday.